Good evening, friends. You guessed it, we have more winter weather that is on the horizon. So I did want to break down a few things for you in terms of timeline and type of precipitation. So right now, we are still completely dry and basically cloud free, and that is part of why our temperatures this evening will be falling so drastically is because we are dealing with radiational cooling and don't have that layer of cloud cover to really trap in the radiation that we receive during the daytime today. So yet another reason we will be cold tonight, and that cold air is primed for all of the wintry weather we are expecting for tomorrow. Temperatures right now, speaking of cold, this makes me cold just looking at it. It is 25 now in Roanoke, Covington 23, Rocky Mount 29, 28 in Lynchburg, 13 in Hot Springs, and now in Wytheville, Pulaski, as well as Independence, all 19 degrees, 18 in Blacksburg, and 21 in Hillsville. Now, not only are we cold, we are very, very blustery. And that's making it feel a little bit chillier, but the good news is the wind will die down overnight. Right now, and within the next hour or so, we can expect winds that will gust up to 25 miles an hour. But overnight, you'll notice this graph beginning to taper off, and our sustained wind speed overnight around 5 miles an hour, so not too bad, but it will certainly feel a little bit colder due to that wind speed. So this is what we're looking at for the wind chill overnight and why we're already seeing this very Arctic air mass that is moving into place. Our future wind chill by about 8 o'clock will already feel like two below zero in Hot Springs, 0 in Wytheville, feel like 7 in Roanoke, and 2 in Blacksburg. And this will continue as we head into the overnight hours as well. By 11 o'clock, widespread teens and single digits for our feels like temperatures. But I did want to show you this because Friday morning, not only are we already gearing up for that winter weather, but it already does feel quite cold due to this wind chill. It will feel like 10 in Roanoke, 6 in Blacksburg, 7 in Lexington, and 18 in South Boston. Now, we've been talking a lot about winds, cold, and this really cold Arctic air. It is sticking around as we head into the next couple of days. Zone by zone, your high temperatures for your Friday, we are barely hitting that freezing mark in the New River Valley. Highlands, Roanoke, Lynchburg, and Southside all into the mid and lower 30s. 33 Highlands, 34 Roanoke and Lynchburg, and 35 the high temperature for Southside. So I did want to remind you, I did just bring this up. Our normal high temperature for this time of year is around 48 degrees. So we are well below average now, and this pattern is locked in at least for a little bit longer. And this is why the map also is showing a lot of purples and pinks, because we do have precipitation that will accompany this Arctic air mass. So we do have winter weather warnings and advisories. Now, the majority of our area is included in an advisory, so not seeing at least the slew of pink that we did about this time last week. These do expire by 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, so this is a very quick mover. It begins Friday afternoon and is out of our hair by Saturday morning. So again, majority of the zones here into Roanoke, part of the Lynchburg zone, Highland zone as well, and part of the New River Valley zone is under that advisory. Now, as you head a little bit further south along the state line, that's where we're seeing those warnings in place, and for Southside as well is included in that winter storm warning until 7 a.m. on Saturday. So this is the setup that we have been watching. We do have that low pressure system a little bit further on in the Gulf. We are still on the cold side of this storm, so we do have that opportunity. Again, you'll notice we are in that giant white blob right there. That is the zone that we're looking at for that snowfall. Once again, we are on the colder side of this system, and you'll notice the wind direction here, northwesterly breeze, and we are still seeing that colder air because of that Canadian air mass that is bringing in, and that's why we have the very chilly temperatures, the breeze, and to go along with it, wintry mix. So let's time this out, friends. We are watching this event to begin between noon and 1 p.m. So this does begin as rainfall and a wintry mix and a little bit of snow, just a little bit of everything. We will run the gamut in terms of precip types to begin. Now, as we head further on into your Friday evening and into early Friday morning, this will turn to mainly a snowfall event. So there is good news. The last winter weather event that we dealt with this past Sunday and Monday It was more of an icy event for the latter half. We started off with snow. It was beautiful, little winter wonderland, but we switched over to the ice, and that was the problem for widespread power outages and just overall issues with travel. But because it's more so of a snowfall event, of course, we are bracing for travel impacts and the potential for those power outages, even if there's a little bit of wintering mix going on. That is still a concern, but this is more so going to be a snowfall event as we head throughout the days. Now, amounts. This is what we're looking at. For the majority of our viewing area, this will be about a 1 to 4 inch range that we are watching. But of course, in those higher elevations into the mountaintops, and especially those western facing slopes we are watching there into Pocahontas and Greenbrier counties over in West Virginia, looking at 3 to 5 inches of that more isolated, that heavier snow that is possible, but the majority of the area, about 1 to 4 inches, is a good range that we are watching of that snow and that sleet and just all the accumulation that we're keeping an eye on. Now let's time this out on Futurecast. So the rest of the night tonight we will be clear, dry, and absolutely frigid, easily falling in the teens and single digits for our low temperatures. Part of, again, that clearing that we were talking about earlier, that's part of why we are going to see things cool down quite a bit. So that will continue for the first part of your Friday. Now I'm going to go ahead and just back this up. We're going to take this a little bit slower, take this hour by hour. So once again, we start off the day on Friday clear. Now we'll build in the cloud cover during the day on Friday. On Friday morning, we'll start to see things that are clouding over a little bit. We're starting to see the beginnings of this storm now. Watch right there by 11 o'clock. Parts of the New River Valley will begin to see snowflakes at this time, and this will continue to become a little bit more widespread as we head to the noon hour, for the portions even creeping into the south side zone a bit, and continuing throughout the day on Friday. You'll notice this is when a little bit of mixing takes place, right about that 1 to 2 o'clock hour. Some parts turning to that more so over that rainfall mode of precipitation, but this is still majority snowfall. By 2 o'clock, start to see at least some instances of mixed precipitation as well as that rain and that snowfall. And by 5, this does turn to an all snowfall event for the majority of our viewing area is seeing active snowfall at this time for your Friday. And it continues throughout Friday evening into the overnight hours. Now overnight, that's our best chance that we're also watching at least for a little bit of mixed precip, but you'll still notice that the majority of this is still going to be more so that snowfall and then that ice, and that will continue overnight into early Saturday morning and even already by 3 o'clock. This is exactly how quick of a mover this system is. Already starting to see parts of the New River Valley completely dry at this time, and that will further spread as we head 4 or 5 o'clock hour. Southside, Roanoke, Lynchburg zones, and Highlands, of course, still seeing at least a little bit of snowfall. But majority of us are dry already by 5 o'clock according to this one model run. So that's good news. This is still very, very quick moving. And by 6, 7 o'clock, most of us are drying out. But of course, into the those counties there in West Virginia, those western-facing slopes, again, as characteristic for that area, still seeing active snowfall. But the majority of the region wrapping things up about this time. And we will continue throughout the day on Saturday. For the latter half of the day, we will begin to really dry things out. And by 7 p.m., of course, we are completely dry at this time. So once again, this is a very, very quick mover. Now, what we're looking at for impacts as the storm heads our way, gusty winds, of course, that we're already seeing that now, and that has that potential to continue overnight, but we'll gradually at least see things die down just a touch this evening. But as we head into Friday evening into Saturday, still those gusty winds that are possible. Of course, accumulating snowfall is what we are tracking, and that is that possibility, again, was concerned about. We're looking for the accumulating snowfall, freezing rain, not as concerning as it was again with this past system, and power outages are still on the forefront of our minds as we do have that potential still for any sort of ice and freezing rain and that mixed mode of precipitation. That's when things get a little bit dicey with those power lines, of course. Now, again, as this does continue throughout the area, we are going to keep an eye on this, but for now, We are dry and we are bitterly cold. And again, we're already seeing those cold temperatures primed for when that precip heads our way tomorrow. This will stick very, very quickly because of our temperatures. So, very quickly, Friday afternoon and Friday evening, roadways will be impacted. So, do not be out on the roadways unless you absolutely have to, because travel will be impacted quickly. And again, we're still watching for that potential for those power outages. So, that's a concern as well. But back to my main point, it is going to be very cold this evening. Widespread teens and single digits. Our low temperature this evening in Roanoke will be 14 degrees. 5 in Hot Springs tonight, 9 in Wytheville, 14 in Bedford, 15 in Danville, in South Boston, and about 8 in Lexington. And this is not even calculating that wind speed in there, for our feels like temperatures will still be chilling on top of that. So something to take into consideration. Make sure and keep an eye on any sort of exterior pipes that you have around your house that has the potential to freeze, of course, tonight. Bring the pets inside, and of course check in on your elderly neighbors when we are going to see not only this snowfall event, but bitter cold tonight that is still quite dangerous with those wind chills. 7-day forecast. Of course, we do have that Weather Authority alert day in place for your Friday and Saturday. Majority of the snowfall will be on Friday. Of course, that carries over until about 6 to 7 a.m. on Saturday. But the rest of the day on Saturday, after the morning hours, we're clearing things out, may even see a few peaks of sunshine and continue to dry things out for your Sunday. So be sure and be prepared as we head into this next weather event. We've been stuck in this pattern for the past little while of just this bitterly cold air. You'll notice 44 degrees on Monday. We do have a heat wave, and like to be noted, we'll start to warm things up a little bit, but drop down very quickly into the 30s and 20s for Tuesday and Wednesday. So be sure and stay safe, stay bundled up, and stay inside if you can. We will be keeping you updated here with the latest forecast that we have issued.